Okay guys, so we're over here on page 55 of our books and we're looking at question number 4. So the logo is designed for a sailing company. It is based on different types of triangles. Reproduce the logo and add details of your own, such as the name of the boat. So we don't have the overall height of this boat. We do have the width of the bottom, and that's 90 mil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the middle of the page. So I know that from border to border my sheet is always 400 mil long. So from border to border my sheet is always 200 mil long. So I'm going to just measure in 200 mil, or 20 centimeters. I'm going to draw a straight line through my sheet. Okay, now that's going to be a construction line, and that's going to be the center line of the shape. From the bottom here I'm going to measure up 60 mil, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line. So that can be from one edge of the sheet to the other if you like as well. And as I said, we don't know the overall height of the boat, so that's why we kept it fairly low on the sheet. We don't know the overall height, but we do know the width of the bottom. Okay, so this line now is going to become the bottom of the shape. So I know that the width of the bottom is 90 mil. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set my ruler. See what I'm doing here? I'm setting my ruler to 45, so 4.5 centimeters, 45 millimeters in the middle of this line. That means that if I measure 45 to the left, it'll bring me to 0. I'm just going to make a little mark there. And if I measure 45 to the right, it's going to bring me to 90, which is the overall width. So from here to here now is 90 mil. Okay, and that line now is 90 mil long. So that line is 90 mil long, centered on my page, and 60 mil up from the bottom of the border. Okay, next thing we want to do is draw these two lines here. So we know that this line is going up at 45 degrees, 30 mil. Okay, so before I even draw that 45 degree line, I'm going to go back into my sheet and I'm going to measure up 30 mil. So this is where that 45 degree line is going to stop. I'm going to measure up 30 mil. So I'm just lining up a whole number, in this case 6, with that line. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So measure up 30 mil, and I'm going to draw a construction line horizontally just across my page again, like that. So I know that if I want this line to go up 30 mil, it's going to stop at this line here. Okay, so I have one line going out here at 45 and one line going up at 60 degrees. So the first one is from this point here, and it's going up at 45 degrees. So this is where it's important to know which set square we're using. So I'm using this one here that says 45 degrees on it. So this is our isosceles triangle. So two sides are the same, one side is longer. It's also a right angle triangle. This is a right angle here, which means that if I have an isosceles triangle, so we know that these two angles are the same on an isosceles triangle, and this is different. If this is 90 degrees and these two are the same, this has to be 45 and 45. So that's my line going up at 45, and I'll grab my 60 degree set square for the other one. So this is the scalene triangle. We have 3 different length sides, 3 different angles in the corners, and it happens that this one is 90 degrees, this one's 60 degrees, and if this is 60 degrees and this is 90 degrees, 180, take away that is going to leave us with 30. Okay, so a 60 degree line this time, going over to the right. Okay, like so. Okay, so that's the base of our boat now complete. Next thing we know is the width of the bottom of this large triangle here. So this large triangle here, and the width of that is 60 to the right and 60 to the left. So 60 plus 60 is 120 mil. But we also know that that is 10 mil up here. Okay, so a few things that we need to do. So we need to measure another 10 mil up here. So just like what we did with 30, I'm going to line my set square up with a whole number, in this case 6, and just measure up to 7. So that's going to be 10 mil of a difference. And I'm going to draw on a construction line, like so. And I'm going to go 60 mil to the left, 60 mil to the right. So I'm going to line up my number 6 here in the middle, so 60. And if I measure then to the left all the way back to 0, that's 60 mil to the left. And if I measure to 120 to the right, that's going to be 120 mil. Okay, and I can draw a firm line there. Okay, so that's going to be the bottom of the sail. The next thing we see from the sail is that we have an angle of 55 degrees here and an angle of 55 degrees here as well. Okay, so to measure an angle of 55 degrees, we're going to need to go and we're going to get our protractor. And we're going to measure an angle. So what I like to do when I'm using the protractor is from the point that you're measuring the angle from, which is all the way to the left here at this point, I'm going to just project a perpendicular line from that point. So it's just a line like that. And it just makes it easier for lining up the protractor. Okay, so you can get a really accurate measurement. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the protractor down. So the first thing I want to line it up with is the line perpendicular that I just drew. Okay, so making sure that this 90 degree line is lining up with that. Next thing is just to bring it down here and bring it down horizontal. So we're looking to line this point here up with this point, this line here up with this 90 degree line, and this horizontal line is going to be lined up with this horizontal line here as well. So you can actually even leave it on your T-square if you like to get it perfectly horizontal, and then line it up with the perpendicular line then at the 90 degrees and making sure it's on that dot, which it should be, and that's the protractor lined up now perfectly. So now we get to decide, are we measuring an angle up this way to come into the middle, or are we measuring an angle up this way to go away from the shape? Okay, so we're measuring up this way to go into the middle, so we're measuring up 55 degrees. So from the inside we're going 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, okay, and a half, so 55 is going to be right here. Okay, and from, so I've made a little dot there, from this point here now we're going draw a line through that dot until it hits this line, like so. Okay, that's that line. And the great thing about that is that we only need to measure that once, because where it cuts here is the top, so the apex of that triangle. And once we have the apex, we can just join this point up to the apex as well. Like so. Okay, so our boat is beginning to take shape here now. the last thing I need to do is this sail here. So we see that there's a 16mm line going up, and we also see that it goes out a distance of 40mm. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to my drawing, and from the top here I'm going to measure up 16mm, and I'm going to half that 16mm as well, which is going to give me 8mm. So what I really need to do is measure 8mm and 8mm. So I'm lining it up with a full number, and I'm going to measure 8mm, so 5, 6, 7, 8. Now there's 8mm rather than 8 centimeters. Okay, so it's actually a very small measurement. So 8mm and 8mm. Now it's going to look like two dots just there like that. So 8mm, 8mm. From the first 8mm, I'm going to draw a construction line out to the right, and I'm going to measure up that line 40mm. So that's 4 centimeters, 40mm, and that's going to give me that point out here. And now all that's left there is to join them 3 dots together. So join this line, point back to this point, and this point back to this point. Okay, so there's my drawing now complete. Make sure that you have a nice border on it, that you have your name in the top right, the name of the drawing in the center, and the date to the left, and we'll have our boat in the center of the page. Okay, let me know if there's any questions on that, and I'll talk to you again later.